an overview of one small example and project that we are going to build according to the requirements. And have you designed the documentation? Have you designed the documentation? You designed the documentation. I asked you to try the documentation, right? Have you submitted into the classroom? Okay, so yes, few people submitted it, right? Yeah. So were you able to understand that module? What are the modules required? Able to get that information about the modules, right? Good. So how many modules came for you? Total, according to that IEEE documentation, it should have 9 modules, right? Yes, very good. So some people done the documentation very well. Design, right? Okay. So once you are aware of how to prepare this, now you need to understand the first concept is we need to prepare the database. To prepare a database, actually, we need to prepare database models. Database models. Actually, database models contains 5 important models we have. So 4 important models we have. We have conceptual model. Conceptual model. We have physical model, logical model, and entity model. So 4 database models will be there. Conceptual model, physical model, logical model, entity model. So in these models, so first one, conceptual model means what we have to do is we have to identify the modules that need data, because every module may not need database. That means identify the modules that need to store data, that need data to store in database. So actually, as per the project requirements, so in the project documentation, so we have 9 modules. We have 9 modules. You see, these are the 9 modules we have. So actually here registration module is there. Products browse and products search module is there. two modules. There are three, and shopping cart 4, shipping and billing. So 5, 6. So and shipping and billing, that is 5, and 6 is payment. And in admin we have that is 7, and we have in that like admin related catalog management and order management like that. Admin related to user logins and all. So these 9 modules are there. Now the first point is, as a developer, we have to understand, so which module needs data, which module needs data. So that means we have to prepare a conceptual model. Conceptual model indicates which module needs data. So actually, customer registration that needs data, and login can happen with the same data. So we don't need separate database table for login. Registration table will be used for login. Products and categories, we need data for that. Administration, admin registration and login, for that we need data. For shopping cart, we need data. Currently, we don't use payments and all, we will ignore that. So, the data is required for these modules. Actually, I will upload a sample document for diagram. You have to design according to the diagram. That means I will show you one more document. So, database models, how they look like. Actually, a conceptual model looks like this. In the conceptual model, you have to prepare the list of modules that requires data. So in project, which module requires data, that you have to define. That is the first step. After that, after preparing it, so after designing conceptual model, then we have to prepare physical model. Remember, in conceptual model, only information about the modules that need data, that is present. Information about the modules that need data is present. Only module names are present here. Now, for every module, what should be the table name? What should be the field name? What should be the data type of that field? That information we have to design. That means, suppose we have the user customer registration module. Customer registration module. In customer registration module, what are the fields we need? What should be the data type of that field? And what should be the table name that we have to design in physical model? In physical model, you have to prepare table name, field name, and data type. Field name, data type. These are the, for every module you have to design. For every module, you have to design the table name, field name, and data type. For every module, you have to configure it. You have to configure for every module. The field name and the data type you have to specify. So, see, this is how the physical model looks like. This is how the physical model looks like. This is the physical model. In this physical model, actually, so just roughly zoom it. So this is the physical model. In physical model, you will have table name, field name, and its data type. You can go to that project sample site. So the sample project site. So this is the sample project. And in this, you see here, suppose I opened that. This is a shopping site actually. Yeah. In that user registration information we need actually. User registration information. So actually my account in that, see, new customer, already existing customer. So new customer, you see, registration, these are the details. That means what fields are required. You have to design the fields. The gender, first name, last name, date of birth, email address. What should be the data type for it? And company details, street address, postal code, city, state, country, telephone number, fax. So password confirmation. That means now what you have to do is you have to create a table name. You have to define a table name. You have to tell what fields and what data type is required for that. Similarly, when any product is opened, for every product, what are the details we have? That means product photo, product related title and subtitle, product price and reviews. So we have some reviews. That means for every product, some review is there. These information should be available for product. Add to cart button we will design manually. That is the data for product. Like that, for every module, you have to identify the table name, field name, data types, and specify them in a diagram. This is actually physical model. This is the physical model. Now, when I scroll down, next, after conceptual model, physical model. After physical model, we have to design logical model. This is the logical model. What happens in logical model is, in logical model, actually, in logical model, we have table name, field name, and relation. Relation we have to tell. That means is a module having a relation to another module. That means, for example, in our current project, so suppose in the current project we have, so customer registration. Customer registration module is there. In that, so we have customer fields. In that we have field like customer ID, so name, so phone, so some gender. All these details are present. Gender. All these details are present. So like we have some email, all this. Now, actually, we have another table called shopping cart. Shopping cart is a table. In that we have cart ID, and we have like, so product ID, price. So all such information. So price, amount, or total. So or you say quantity, then total amount, all such information. But remember, every shopping cart is independent for every customer. Then it will have a customer ID also. Customer ID. That means now every shopping cart is not same for all. Every person have his own shopping cart. That means in the shopping cart table, hundreds of shopping carts will be added. But every shopping cart belongs to a specific customer. When a customer logs in, his shopping cart should be displayed. in that case, we should have a relation between these two. We must configure relation between these two. That means here, so customer ID is called primary key, which is a unique reference. Here, shopping cart is a primary key, which is a unique reference. And here, the customer ID is foreign key. Foreign key means, so it is the reference key for that particular customer. So that means whenever user logs in, automatically it will get that customer ID. According to customer ID, it will get his shopping cart and it will display it. Shopping cart and display. That is how it is going to manage. That is relation. Like that, so many relations are present. For example, we have products and we have categories. We have relation between products and categories also. Every product belongs to a category. That means category will have a category ID or will have a category name. Product have a product ID and product name, and it will have a category ID. That means we have the relation configured between the categories and the products so that we can get all the products that belong to that particular category. So we can have filter according. So this is relation. So after preparing the physical model, you have to prepare this logical model. In this logical model, you have to define the relation between the tables. For that, this is the diagram. So you have to create the diagram and you need to configure that. Relation, which one is foreign key, primary key, you have to define the relation. After you prepare this logical model, then finally we have to prepare entity model. This contains all the details. Entity model is nothing but, in entity model, you will have table name, field name, data type, and relationships. Everything is configured in one location. So everything is configured in one location. So usually a developer have to prepare the database. A developer have to design the database according to this entity model. According to the entity model, he need to prepare the database. These data models are very important. Generally, people call this as ER diagram. ER diagram. That means entity means the word entity represents the real-time requirements. That means business requirements. So according to the business requirements, the entities are configured. Now, actually, when you are defining entity, when you are configuring entity, the relationships are mainly classified into three types, actually. Three types or four types relations are there. The relationship is nothing but generally. The relationship diagrams in the relationship we have to create. So we have one-to-one relation. One-to-one relation. In one-to-one relation, what happens is one entity from one set can be associated with at most one entity in the. So that is called the one-to-one relation, actually, one-to-one relation. So we have one-to-many relation. That means one can be related with many. So that means actually that is one-to-one. We have like one-to-many relations. So that means actual one-to-one general concept here. One-to-one is nothing but. So the customer based on customer ID. So the shopping cart is configured. So that means when you are defining another field, that means if customer is related to something else, the categories are related. Suppose we have an admin. So this admin is associated with several options. That means admin have an admin name or user credentials and all ID references and all these are. Now, generally, the relationship is configured with many options. For example, the category is used for products. Suppose this category is used for the shopping cart also. That means one is pointing towards many. That means actually you can filter the shopping cart based on category ID. Suppose we have like that. That means in the shopping cart, according to category, you can select. So for that category, what products are present. Then you can configure this as one is associated with many. It is associated with shopping cart. It is associated with products table. Like actually entity diagram. So it's used for design the configuration of. It is used for designing all these details. The diagram I will give you, so you can go through that. So we have entity model diagram means this table name, so field name, data type, relationship, all these are defined. All these are configured. Now, a developer needs to design database according to this entity model. So here, for our project sample, this is the diagram. And you can see here, so customer's table, that customer ID or user ID is associated with cart. And cart contains product related details like product ID, product name, image. All this comes from products table. And admin able to handle the cart, admin able to handle the products, admin able to handle the categories like that, handle the users. Just only basic point I am giving here. And categories have a relation with products. Products have a relation with categories as well as cart. And customers have a relation with that cart. All such relations are configured. And these are the fields designed. Now, as a developer, first what we have to do is prepare database according to these requirements. So according to these requirements, we need to design the database. So before preparing the database, these four models are important. That means we need to design these models. Actually, online so many softwares are present. Suppose online ER diagram makers. You see online ER diagram makers, so many are there. So these are online ER diagram makers. You can open these softwares. You can draw the diagram here and you can save it and you can do it. Offline also so many softwares are present. But these are enough online just for your practicing. You can open this and there you can draw the diagrams. You can draw the diagram. You have to temporarily register it. So not paid, some are paid. Here you can temporarily register and you can draw it and you can save it online. So many will be there. Diagrams related softwares, you can try them. I will upload this sample diagram into Classroom. According to that, you must able to design for your database, data models. For the data models, we have to prepare. That means what tables we need, what fields we need, and what the relation between them. What is the relation between them? We have to configure them. These are the options we need to design. Okay. Once I will upload this document according by saying that you try. I will upload this also. Means what fields and what tables you have to design. You create a diagram for this. You create a diagram for this. You have to prepare those 4 diagrams: conceptual model, physical model, logical model, entity model. You try those for this table, these fields. Now, according to this, we need to design the database. So, currently, we are going to use the database MongoDB as database. We will see today how to install this MongoDB, how to use the MongoDB database. We will see how the process is, how we can handle it. So first, we have to install it on the PC. Let's see. To install the MongoDB database, so you have to go to MongoDB official site. Those steps also I will give you. MongoDB, this is the official. In this, you go to products category, and in the products category, you select community edition. Community edition. So in that actually database community server, you select the database community server. So this is what you have to download. Current version is 5 version of this, and it is available for every operating system. So actually Mongo is a very big cloud service. They will provide you cloud environment also. So you can register here and get the cloud account. But our concept is not cloud. We are using MongoDB only for database. So just go to this MongoDB community server and download it. Right side you see the platforms for every operating system you have. And you have the MSI file. Don't use this zip file, use the MSI file. MSI file for setup file will come, simply install it. There are no much complications. Step by step you can follow and install it. Once MongoDB is installed in your computer, we have to, so that means you have to download and install MongoDB server. So community server. After that, you have to start MongoDB server. Make sure that MongoDB server started on your PC. Sometimes the servers are not started. You have to make sure that server is started. So server is started on your PC and it is available. So what you have to do is you have to open your Windows services. So we have services. Open Windows services. In Windows services, you have to make sure that the MongoDB service is running. Scroll down. So when I scroll down, you can see MongoDB. So MongoDB server, it is running. Sometimes it is not running. So suppose, say sometimes the running status will not be there. Then you cannot connect and you cannot work. So make sure that it is running. So you can right click and say start. So MongoDB server is running. So it is running. Once the MongoDB server is running and it is ready, So once it is configured, now we have to connect with MongoDB. So start MongoDB server. So from services, you have to do that. Once server is running, we have to connect to server, and we have to create database, manage database, and work with the database. We have to connect to server and manage everything there. So how to connect to the server? How do we configure that? How do we connect and configure that? Actually, database have server and client both. Data is in server and we need a client tool. Here we have two client tools. In MongoDB, you have a client MongoDB command line client will be there, and MongoDB Compass will be there. Compass. MongoDB Compass is GUI client. It is GUI client. That means actually what happens is once you install any database, not only MongoDB, is it Oracle or MySQL or anything, usually we will have a database server. So usually you have a database server. So generally we have database server. Now in that database server, the tables are present. Tables, that means we have database and we have tables. All these are present. Now we have to connect to that server and access it and use it. For that, actually, a client tool is required. Through that client tool, we connect with the database, access it, and use it. So these tools are two types. Command line tool is there, GUI tool is there. Command line tool, how to connect, I will show you. Open your command prompt. In that, come out of this directory, C drive. Go to C drive directory, CD/. In C drive, you have to change to CD program files. In C drive, you will have program files. Program files is the location where all the programs are installed actually. All the programs are installed. Now in program files, you have to change to MongoDB. And in MongoDB, you have to change to server. In that server, you have to change to version 5.0. In that, you have to change to bin folder. That's the location. Here, you have to type Mongo. If you type Mongo, it connects to server. So this is the location where client tool is present. And here, you have to type Mongo and hit enter. And it is connecting and connected successfully. You observe here, when I scroll up, this is the connection string of server. MongoDB connection string is this. To connect with any database, you need connection string actually. To connect with any database, you need connection string. So to connect with any database, you need the connection string. So actually, the connection string is this. Different database have different connection string. For MongoDB, this URL. So the prompt. There is another option. You type exit, then it is closed. So this is command line. You have another. When you install MongoDB, so on your PC, it installs a GUI tool called MongoDB Compass. Compass. What you have to do is open that MongoDB Compass. It is installed. When you install MongoDB on your machine, it installs this Compass. Open this MongoDB Compass. In this MongoDB Compass, you have to see it will load the graphical. What is advantage is here you don't need to remember any command or type any commands. So without the commands, you can easily handle it. Without remembering and handling the commands, you can easily manage it. That is the command line tool. And it is done. So it is configured here. And you see, you have to connect. See, it's saying paste your connection string. Actually, you can directly click connect, but see here, click there and type the connection string. I showed you MongoDB : .127.0.0.1:27017 and click on connect. So it connects to the server and it is ready. You see, these are all the databases. What is advantage here is it is in graphical mode. You don't need to remember or use any commands. Directly you can click on these buttons and create a database. You can click on this and see what is present inside it. So you don't need to use commands. This is easy, but we have to learn commands because we have to use the commands to communicate with the database from server side technologies. So that is the reason we have to learn the commands. But what is point here is MongoDB is non-SQL, or people call as NoSQL. That means in MongoDB, all are simple JavaScript commands. JavaScript like methods, very simple. And they are case sensitive, capitalization matters. But the advantage is they can easily handle and they can easily manage the data from server side. Graphical mode, okay, but you need to know commands to interact from the servers. So you have to learn both of them, how we can use the commands and how we can manage this. Now in this MongoDB, so what are the basic commands? I will show you. Let's open the command prompt. If you are feeling difficulty in changing directories and all, you can do one more. Open Windows Explorer. In that, select C drive. In select open program files. In that, open MongoDB. In that, open server. In that, open 5.0 bin. And there you just click and type in the address bar, type CMD. That location will open in command prompt. Here simply type Mongo. It will start the Mongo client. So once you got the Mongo, here you have to learn how to create database, how to create tables, how we can manage. In MongoDB, actually, general databases and MongoDB, difference is, suppose general in database management system, we have database. Database is the location where data is stored. In MongoDB also database only. In database, data is stored in tables. Here we call them collection. That means table means collection. Collection means table. In MongoDB, we don't call table. We have collection. And document. Document. Actually, it is actually in database we call as row, or you call as record. One record that we call as document. Here we have column, or you call field. Here also we call as field. And here you have joins. Actually, we call as embedded documents. Embedded documents. So that is actually MongoDB. In MongoDB, the terms will be like this. We have a database, we have a collection. In the collection, we will have document, and in that we have the field, embedded documents like that. Now the point here is, generally when you are dealing with the databases and configuring, functionalities means the concept of functionality is similar, but commands are a little different. Approach is little different. We will see that. First, according to our project requirements, we need to create database. First, I will show you basics. First, we will learn the commands. Then we will prepare the database according to project. First, we will learn it sample. How to see what are the databases available. Show DBS. It will show the list of databases available. How to create one database. You have to use command. Use database name. Suppose I am giving DemoDB. Enter. Use is used for creating a new database or changing into existing database. Okay. Now it says that switch to database. That is DemoDB. To check which database is currently active, you have to use DB. DB shows which database is currently active. So we have database. Okay. But show DBS in databases list, you will not see DemoDB. You see show DBS. Show DBS. You don't see any DemoDB. But DemoDB is currently active. Why it is not showing? Because a database will not be displayed in the list. A database will not be displayed in the list until or unless it is having a table. So if there is no table, then it will not be displayed in the list. So make sure that there is a table inside database. We have to create a table. How do we create tables in MongoDB? Actually, to create table, so in MongoDB, we have to just use. So we have to just use. So yeah, we have to just use db dot create collection. Create collection is to create a table. These all commands I will upload into classroom. How to create database, tables and all. So create collection, capitalization matters. You have to follow the exact capitalization. Create collection, and here you have to define the table name, and you have to define options for table. Options are not mandatory, but MongoDB provides some options for creating table. What are the options for creating table actually? So db dot create collection, and in that table name, and we will have options. And options actually contain lot of details, like we have size, we have max, we have capped, we have auto index ID. These are the options. For every table, you can define these options. Size indicates how much space you want to allocate in memory. How many bytes space do you want to allocate in memory? Suppose I want 2 MB space for this table. Then generally what we do, 2 MB means, suppose I open calculator. 2 MB means 1024 bytes equal to 1 kilobyte. 1024 kilobytes equal to 1 MB. So 1024 into 1024, that makes 1 MB. That is the size of 1 MB. And 1 MB into 2, that makes 2 MB. That is how we have to define, how we need to configure. So this we have to give as size. So we don't use commas. With this we have to define as size. That means if I want 2 MB, then I have to write like this. This is the size defined. Similarly, max indicates how many records maximum you can store. Suppose 5, 4, 10, like that. Then what happens? One more option is capped. Capped is Boolean. Boolean you can set true or false. What happens is, if I set capped true, then after storing 5 records, space is there. After storing 5 records, because you said maximum 5, after storing 5 records, now it's go to, when you try to add 6th record, when you try to add the 6th record, then what will happen is, when you try to add the 6th record, if capped is true, then old record will be removed. That means first record will be removed. In that place, this record will be added. That means it will keep this one. That means one record will be removed. After that, second record will capped true. If capped is false, then it says that you reached the maximum limit, you can't store anymore. Otherwise, it will overwrite the old ones. That is capped. Auto index ID means it's also true or false. Every record have an ID. Every record have an ID. Means every record have a unique ID. That unique ID is generated. For every record, it will generate a unique ID. Actually, they are removing this option from future versions of MongoDB, because you can create your own unique reference. So, but by default, every record have an unique ID, that is with auto index ID. Do you want it or not? You have to configure. So now in the latest versions, they are removed. You have to write all these options. That means, so for example, suppose table name, I am creating as TBL categories. Okay, here options. What are options? One is size. Size, how much? You have to write bytes. Suppose I want 2 bytes. Then I need to keep that 2 bytes like this. And after that, so max how much? So max 4 or 3 records. And capped what you want. Capped true or false. And how you want to configure that auto index ID. Auto index ID. So that is so true or false. Now after defining all these options and hit enter, now the table is created. And you see, you can see a warning saying that note that auto index ID option will be deprecated and removed in future releases. That's okay. But this is the table. If you don't give the options, what will happen is it will take the size according to memory available in the PC. The maximum no limit according to memory. Capped will be false, auto index will be true by default if you don't give. So that means you don't need to give. Actually, db.create collection, and I am giving collection, and I am giving TBL products, and enter. It is going to create. It is going to create and it is going to define. So now if you want to see the tables, show collections. Show collections, it will show two tables are there. And show database, show DBS. Now you see there is demo DB in the list. From graphical mode, you can easily see. You see, this is the graphical mode. I open here, see in the databases, refresh here. You see in the databases, there is demo DB. Left side, select demo DB. In that you have two tables, TBL categories, TBL products. If you want, you can directly click here, create collection. You can give TBL users and click on create, and it creates the table TBL users and it will add. Now you can see here, so show collections, and it will show that we have three tables. So everything is simple. So you can learn the commands or you can do it from the graphical board. So table is ready. Now how to insert records into table? That's also very simple. Suppose I want to insert a record into table. So simple, db dot table name tbl categories dot insert one. We have three commands. You have insert command. Now we have insert one and you have insert many. Insert one to insert one record. Insert for both one or many. Insert one means one record. But remember, every record is a JSON object. Every record is defined as a JSON object. That means field name, JSON object, you know, like an object. Category ID. Category ID. The value is 1. All data types are same like JavaScript data types only. Similarly, category name. Category name is some electronics. It is a string type. Like this we have to define. And hit enter. Now you can see record inserted. If you want to insert multiple records, then db.tbl categories dot insert many. And here you have to define array. You know that multiple means array. Array of object. In every object, category ID. Category ID 2. Category name is some footwear. Footwear. And one more record, again object. You know how to create an array. So it contains again category ID is 3. And category name. Category name. So category name is fashion. Like this we are configuring. And hit enter. Now it's created. 2 records inserted. You can see in the graphical mode. Now refresh. You see, so the table TBL categories contains those records. That's how we can insert. So the command used for that is insert. Just you can use the insert. You can use insert one. You can use insert many for inserting the records into the table. Once the records are inserted into the table, now how we can view the records? Initially basic query I will show you. db.tbl categories dot find and hit enter. It will get and display. Actually, to display in a clean format, db.tbl categories dot find dot pretty, and it will show the records in a clean format. Actually, find can use lot of conditions also, queries. Those queries I will tell you how to handle them, how to design them. I will discuss about that. Lot of are there, we need to understand. Initially, we have a table name, we have field name. So we have the data types defined for that, some records added in it. Now, how to create tables for all the business requirements? That means for our project, you need to create a database, and you need to create all these tables. I will upload this document. You have to create all these tables with all these fields. Image is not a photo. Image is image path. Image path means, so we have to use the virtual path of image. Nobody will store any binary images in web technologies actually. Image is referred with a path only. 100 to 100% web technologies should not use binaries. Binary conversions are completely rubbish in web technologies. They are completely wrong way of images. We have to put the path only. You see fake store API, NASA like APIs also. When you saw the API of NASA, and these NASA API also, you observed that. So some Mars rover photos. NASA API also you have seen, I showed you in various occasions. Here, every photo is a path, image is a path. They store the image in some specific location. From there, they access it and provide it. In database also, it will be a string only, not binary formats. Actually, so that is the correct way of presenting the images and handling them. You have to just write the path where you kept it. That I will tell you how to define them. So now once you create the database tables, now we have to learn all the CRUD operations. That means create, so read, update, and delete, how we can manage. So this is very important to work with the database. Now you have learned only few things: how to create database, how to create tables, how to insert records into tables, and how to temporarily read the records from the table. Updating, deleting, and queries in reading we will see. And you have to prepare the 4 database models, this database in your MongoDB with the diagrams. You have to keep them ready. Now once we do that, we will learn other operations, deleting, updating, and all. And we will learn the server side technology now, which can communicate with the database. That we'll see. That we will do in our next session. Okay, in the next session we will see how to handle the other operations. Once we finish this, then we can learn server side integration with Node.js and Express server side, which we will connect with client side with Angular, and jQuery also we can use to communicate with it. End-to-end application that we will see in our next session. Okay, and next session, so tomorrow we don't have session. Our we have Dasra off. For Dasra we are taking off, and our next session will be on Monday again. So from tomorrow it is off, so no sessions. Again our next session will be on Monday. Okay, so till that moment I will upload all these documentations. You have to design them and keep them ready. So once we are in the Monday session, we will start working with this project now directly. Okay.